girl, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. It is Yasmin. So I am completely aware that 100% of my YouTube subscribers are actually men. However, I do believe that, well, maybe some of you have girlfriends, some of you have a wife, some of you might have female friends, like, I don't know. So this particular video is about my period, and I thought, am I going to do these videos? And if you didn't see the last one, I did another one about my period. It was about when I did cloth pads, but I figured that most of you have women in your life, and it's not just to do with, like, I guess, well, it is about my period and switching over to being more sustainable, but just in general, like if you have kids, the same principle can apply with the disposable nappies and just and to becoming more sustainable as a whole, right? So if you are aware, and if you're not aware, then I don't know if you are like completely out of touch of what is going on in the world, but we are currently experiencing the worst bushfire season ever. I've done a video on this before, so this particular video is not about this. In saying that, it was a big catalyst for me to just change everything within my lifestyle to being more sustainable and zero waste and chemical free, because it's really the time to make action and just change things right now. So going back, if you didn't see my video about the pads, I do post a lot of stuff on my Instagram and my Twitter about the things that I implement to just give you guys and girls like all a idea about how to switch things up, because stuff that you don't even think about, right? But today's video, let's get back to it. Without further ado, we're going to talk about the menstrual cup. And I just had a period and I used a menstrual cup for the very first time. I actually used the traditional cup, and I also used a Ziggy Cup, and I'm going to do a separate video about my experiences with the Ziggy Cup. But for today, I'm going to talk about these. So I ordered these off eBay, and I didn't get any particular brand. I figured, want to be sure 100% that I'm comfortable with what I am using before I go and invest another higher amount with a particular brand, and I do some more research. So I was so excited that these came just before my period, along with the bamboo pads from my previous video, and I got two. Now the seller did have like the small size option and the larger size option. I got both, being a first time user. They both say the measurement markings on here, pretty much the same kind of design as the, what is it, the one that everyone's pretty much using around. Medical grade silicone with the fill lines. They both come up to 15 mils. One is smaller for lighter days, and I guess a smaller cervix for a certain age, and the other one is larger. Both come with the pull down tabs. If you're like me, I've known about these for quite a long time, and they looked scary. Right, to me they still look scary, but I can tell you right now, they're not as scary as what they seem. Do take a little bit of practice. So I got my period and I decided to first up use this one, because at the start of my period I am heavier, and when I received these, they came, because I got them off eBay, they're not of no particular brand, they didn't come with any set instructions, they just came as is. So I was really reliant on watching other people's YouTube videos as to what they did with their cups. It's like the Diva Cup, because this is like the Diva Cup. Now they do have exactly the same features, including the measurement lines, as well as the little holes that they do have at the top. I gave them a sterilization, and with boiling water I boiled them, and then I also sterilized a jar, and I kept these stored inside here. One of the things that I noticed about people's videos was that, and just reading online, was that if they're in a public place, being very inconvenienced by having to like empty it out and go back out, rinse it out, go back in to put it back in, and not, I mean, I can completely relate. I've done a lot of things and I'm a pretty open person, but I would not feel comfortable doing that, I guess. Some lunch and I had some toasted chickpeas, and I feel like one just went down my esophagus or something. So my eyes are a little bit watery now, but anyway. I do recommend, in my experience, with having the backup options, such as always carrying around a bamboo cloth pad with you as a backup, or a second cup in a sterilized container. Like this is a little large, but I sterilize that in it as well. For myself, I do have quite sensitive skin, so I'm always really worried about, oh my gosh, I definitely do not want bacterial vaginosis. If you don't do that, I'm going to do another video in the future about this as well. So for me, it's like I never ever wanted to be someone who rinses it out and puts it back in. I don't know, I just have a mental, myself, I'm not comfortable with that. I want to make sure that every time I'm putting it in, it has been sterilized first. So for me, buying 2 was the best solution, as well as having a backup with the cloth pad. What you also need to do is either take like a wet bag, or you can get them very cheaply, and they are for your reusable baby wipes, your reusable pads, and basically that's just like a separate little thing, so it's not going to get, like, I mean, you don't want to put this straight into your purse or your handbag, and you know what I mean, like it's a little unhygienic, and you can just take that out and then whatever. And then the wet bag, you obviously, once you've finished your cycle or whatever, finished using it, you put that into your washing machine with your other load. First time using this, I used the big size, and seeing on other people's videos, you squished it like this and then would open it up and run your finger around the outside like so. So the first time I felt that I did not put it up high enough, and I could actually feel it. So you know when you put a tampon in and it's not quite all the way up, you can feel it, and you shouldn't feel it. You should not feel anything. The same principle applies when you're going for the cup. So I pulled it out, switched it over to this one, and I felt for that time, I felt like I had more control over it. I just believe that practice makes perfect when coming to these, and I've watched other people's videos and they all said the same thing. Like, it just takes a little bit of practice. So off I went then and put this one in there, went around, and I felt I got that all the way up, and I didn't feel a single thing. When I took it out later, and this was a few hours later, it was filled to about there, no spills or anything. I always thought, it was a little scary. Like, I always thought, when you pull on this, does it pull on your cervix? Like, what does it feel like? When I pulled it out, like, it was like a, but it didn't hurt. No, I promise you, it did not hurt at all. And it just pulled out, and there the blood was. So whoop, tip into the toilet and rinse out. And then I'd already had a second one spare to replace. But in this particular instance, this period, I was alternating with the bamboo cloth pads and the cups, because I've done like first impression experiences of both. Now, what problems that I did find with these is when I'm on my period, I do have a low lying cervix. So what was happening was, no matter what, because even when I was to get it where to my cervix was, if I would do a number 2, which is, guys, a poop, pushing was actually pushing this down as well. So whether or not this was a suction issue and it wasn't completely suctioned, remembering that these are not a brand, these are not a Diva cup, these are not, I don't know, often these things do come out of the same factory, but I just have no idea what these, you know what I mean, like what they would be equivalent to. So whether or not just the suction was not complete, or whether or not like it was just a matter of pushing a lot, because these did push out when I did have my period. So in saying that, I decided that this size was better for me, and this size might be too big for me, just considering that my cervix is low and everything. I also, when I was running it around to just make sure it was completely sealed, I could never get it completely sealed. Like, I just always felt like it was thing, and that's not to say that it would never end up like that. I only used it for one cycle. This is a first impression, and I know that it's just going to take practice. As far as leaks go, yeah, I did have a little bit. I did have a look, and I believe that was probably because it wasn't sealed all the way completely around. In which to say that, but it wasn't leaky in the sense of didn't stain my underwear. It just mattered just that when I wiped, if I went to the restroom, there was a little tiny bit of pink there. Because of this, I then decided which cup that I wanted to invest in and spend a higher amount of money on, because as I said, I got these off eBay for about $14 Australian for the 2, so very inexpensive. Were they a waste of money for me in saying this? Absolutely not, because I have then decided that because my cervix is low, I would then buy a Ziggy Cup, which is not exactly a cup, it's like a disc, and that will probably be more suited for me. However, I will definitely be keeping these because the Ziggy Cup, if I need to change in a public restroom, I'm always going to have a backup option available. If I don't want to wear a pad, I can like wear one of these. I wear activewear all the time, which means pads are a bit bulkier down the bottom. Not that I notice anything ever, like I wear pads all the time in my activewear, but sometimes you just feel like not seeing the blood there. You just like, I'm more, to be honest, in my regular cycles, I was always more of a tampon user than a pad user, but at nighttime I like to wear a pad. Sometimes I like to be a pad just to like let things breathe a little bit. But you know, ultimately I do prefer to just not see the blood there. So I will definitely be keeping these. They're not going to go to waste at all. They're just my backup option for when my other disc, the one that I invested more money in, and I'm going to be in a separate review, as if I go to a public restroom or somewhere, I've got that backup alternative ready, sterilized and ready. That is it, guys. That's my first impression review for the menstrual cups. Honestly, just give it a go. Like, you never know until you try it, but I can safely say from me is that if I can do it, you can do it. It's honestly, I promise you, not scary at all. So if you like this video, remember to give me the thumbs up as well as the subscribe and the bell notifications. See you later.